giving 60% when you have 120 in you. Why? Because you've never made a decision. Those of you in this room, you already there. Your problem is this is stuff you don't want to give up the goal. You're talented. You just don't want to give up sleep. Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it. You love sleep too much. You love that alcohol too much. You love that substance too much. You love that vice too much. There's something that you love more than yourself, than your dreams, than your goals. Watch what happens when you have a goal that only has 2 reasons. See how long that lasts. Watch a goal that has 50 reasons and see how. There's somebody called me the other day on an interview, stupid question. E.T., what do you feel like on the days that you don't feel like? I said, ask the question again, please. Well, what do you do on the days that you don't feel like? So I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm way past that. Every day I feel like. Every day I feel like eating. Every day I feel like giving my wife the best life. Every day I feel like driving in a nice car. Every day I feel like flying first class. Every single day of my life, I feel like giving 100%. Every single day. Somebody said yesterday, E.T., you gave 120. What you gonna do tomorrow? I said, I don't know.
I'm gonna give 121.
I don't know, but I don't have days where I don't feel like it. Why? Because I'm counting on me. My wife's counting on me. I don't have days to waste. No more 50%, no more. No more 70%, no more. I want us at 85 decline.
Man, that is that is motivation. Good morning. I hope you guys are feeling fantastic. I hope you guys are feeling fantastic. That was some good motivation. What are you gonna do? You gave 120 yesterday. What are you gonna do today? I don't know, but I promise you, I'm gonna keep on going. Good day, everybody. I hope that you guys are doing amazingly and feeling wonderful. Sorry for being a little bit late. The software that I use to stream the podcast recordings is not actually like a streaming software. Like it is a streaming software, but it's not like a pristine streaming software that like makes it, that connects to YouTube really easily and all that stuff. Like it takes so much. Sometimes like I can walk right in and just turn it right on and be able to go. But then other days I can't. But I am excited because today, Tuesdays are my favorite days because we get to talk about financial blueprints to success, right? If you are new here, this is your first time watching a video of mine, welcome. We have the blueprint to success. What does that mean? We have the pathway to success. And on Tuesday, we specifically talk about the financial blueprint to success to set you up for financial independence, financial freedom, debt freedom, those things. And it's so important. And so today we get the chance to talk about a great topic right now that's been kind of in the financial industry for the last decade or so. But we get the chance to talk about emergency funds and more specifically, what kind of accounts you should use them with, hashtag high yield savings accounts, and what concerns should you look out for with these high yield savings accounts? How do you find some of the best ones for you? What kind of benefits are there? And also, like, are there the same type of fees as like CDs? Is there the same lack of liquidity, is there the same lack of liquidity like CDs? Or like, what's the barrier to entry? We're going to talk about all of these different things today. So I'm so excited to talk about what to do with your emergency funds and what type of high yield savings accounts are out there for you to be watching out for, looking at, or maybe looking into. All right. So I'm super excited about it. If this is your very first time, feel very free. It's very free. Feel free, and it is free, to go ahead, smack that like button, right? Smack it so far into the future that it doesn't even know what that is anymore. All right. And then also go ahead and tickle that subscribe button. If this is your first time here and you love getting the chance to have these different blueprints to success to set you and your family up for the future. So, oh man, before I get into the topic, we had my company last night. We had an amazing guest speaker who's coming to the finance industry as an entrepreneur, teaching financial education as well. And she's come in and just, I mean, in under 3 to 4 years, helped so many families. I mean, she went from making about $50,000 her first 6 months to about $3.5 million just in about 3 years. And that's crazy awesome, because in the industry that she's in, she only ever makes money when she teaches financial education, and she doesn't get that from the clients. And that is so amazing. That is so amazing. And so for her, she dropped some amazing nuggets last night. And this is one thing that she said that I want to be able to, there's a couple of things she said that I want to share with you guys today before I get into today's topic of emergency funds. She said, business is 90% mindset. It's crazy, because I thought business was 90% skill set. All the skills that you have to developing all these different things that you have to do, leadership. I mean, all this stuff. No, it's 90% mindset. And so if you can change your employees, your team members, your business partners, your contractors, if you can change their mindset and increase it and develop it, your business with them all will be so much more successful. So much more successful. Oh, man. And I love that, just because it makes it different. Whereas you're not always focusing solely on building up your skills, right? But if your skills is great, because you build up your technical knowledge, your tactical knowledge, right? If you were here, if you've watched my 11 leadership principles podcast episode, I talk about the difference between technical and tactical, but either way, you can still build up skills for both of those. The other thing is building up your mindset. That is actually 90% of the job. So if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're trying to step out and become an entrepreneur, you need mindset, 90%. The skills you'll learn, the skills you go out and read and you'll learn, get from, oh man, 90% mindset. Change your mind into people's mind, and your business will be successful. Another thing she said is people become self-employed. And you know what they stop doing? Working like an employee. They get so comfortable. They get so comfortable. That's dangerous. Why would you go become self-employed and immediately stop working like an employee? Kick your work level up. Do more work. Give more effort. You should be passionate about what you do, so much so to where you should feel like you're going grinding and slaving work. You should. But too many people, they start their own employment. Even if it's from home, they start their own employment and they don't treat it like work. They don't have to say deadlines, like as if their life depends on it. They don't have the same fire on their butt whenever their boss tells them to do this or that. They don't take things as seriously. And because of that, their business is dramatically slowed and not, oh man, she says some good things. Great things, actually. And so I just want to be able to share that stuff, those two things with you. I just wanted to share those two things with you this morning, because she was speaking, what is it? She was speaking parables, I think that's what she was speaking to the soul of a lot of business owners last night. And I love those sessions, because we get the chance to really learn and hear how someone else came in, took zero excuses, trying to start their own business, took zero excuses and made it work, made it happen. I love that. I love that so much. So with that being said, don't make any excuses. What excuses are you making that's ultimately hurting your success? What excuses are you making that's hurting your success? Because it's only hurting yours. I do very much love God. So what are we talking about today as far as I'm trying to get this. Yep, there we go. What are we talking about today as far as high yield savings accounts? Well, great that you should ask, because I've got some things to tell you today about high yield savings accounts. And I'm actually super excited about it. I'm actually very excited about today's topics. And that's just simply because there are so many people out there who don't know where to place their money. Actually, before I even do that, I want to. No, this is okay. I can teach this. I can teach this without drawing. I can teach it without drawing too. So I love talking about, different things to be able to do with your money. Now, I'm not saying that this is for every person, right? Obviously, what I do here is very, very customized, but I'm just teaching you some options and some education out there, right? What to do with your emergency funds. The downside to emergency funds is just that if you were to try and save your money into an emergency fund, a lot of times that money grows in the most painstakingly way. And it really, business, money, everything, it's all about mindset, right? It's a mind game. And if you're gaining extremely low rates of return, 0.01% on your emergency funds or your savings, what's likely to happen when you've been saving for a whole year and you see 4 cents, 6 cents added to your account total? That's all the interest that you earn. What's likely to happen for a family or for someone who's not used to saving? They're just gonna give up. They're gonna give up on their savings. They're just gonna give up, because why do all of this work to save, try to build all these different money saving skills when the account's not helping them out either? Right? I mean, a lot of people here, some people, they can make all types of money, with different types of accounts. But the accounts that they're working with, they don't see how that could even be possible for anybody. That anybody could make $1, can make $40 like in a month just from interest, right? So what kind of accounts are out there for you to have specifically your emergency funds in? Well, you have 3 options for the most part. Now, yeah, really 4. But which ones will allow you to at least gain some interest, have the account working with you and try and help you outpace inflation? Well, you've got high yield savings accounts. You've also got CDs. And then some people also use mutual funds as well for some of the high yield savings accounts. Now, before I get into deep into high yield savings accounts, because that's what today is about, just briefly to cover the 3 of those. When it comes to high yield savings accounts, they have liquidity, and they're also held by a bank. All right. When it comes to CDs, it is also held by a bank, except it does not have liquidity. So that's the downside. Liquidity means that you're able to put money in, take money out whenever you want to, and without penalty. And then the third is mutual funds. And even though mutual funds are basically liquid, they're not held by a bank. They're in a variable account, which is a stock market. And so there's different options for you there depending on your situation, but it truly depends on your situation. Now, why I'm talking today about high yield savings accounts is because specifically there's a lot of families out there who either put their money into CDs if they have emergency funds, And if they do have emergency funds and they're putting their money into CDs, unfortunately, because it's not liquid, when there's an emergency that happens, they can't take that money out. Or they can't take it out without penalty, and they're likely to also get penalized and maybe even lose some of the interests that they've earned. So now the money that they had in their account didn't even grow, and they just had it locked away for no reason, and they also got penalized. That's the downside. And so high yield savings accounts right now provide liquidity, so that way nobody has to go through that. But there's always concerns to look out for when getting accounts that promise you better interest. And what are some of those concerns? Well, first I want to talk about why high yield savings accounts are even a thing, right? So why do banks even offer higher yield to consumers? Well, it's specifically because they invest into higher or really great financial instruments. A lot of them invest in these different bonds as well for higher returns. And then many of the good ones invest directly into life insurance. All right. And because of that, I mean, some banks, Bank of America, right, they own $19 billion in life insurance. They own so much money. And because of that, it allows them to pass on some of those benefits of some of those higher yields. Right. And so one thing to be able to look for is like, hey, what do some of these banks invest the most in? Where are, how many assets do they have? Things like that. So you can figure out like, well, maybe this might be a great financial institution for my money in. Right? If their money is backed by a powerhouse of a financial product like insurance that's taking risk away, that's great. If they're investing into too many variable accounts and markets, might not be the best ones. But whenever they do have some of those higher yielding interests or some of those great interest builders in those great accounts, they can offer some of that in pieces back to their consumers. So why would they want to do that? Well, banks are also a business. And because they're a business, they also want to try and attract and retain their current customers and new customers as well. And so by doing that, it allows them to say, hey, like I can provide you with a higher interest on your account. And because of that, it brings in new customers. It makes them competitive, and it starts to build trust as well by offering them much more than just a regular account's going to do. And that's just because they're a business, which I actually think is awesome. Right? What business opportunity, what business out there is going to say, hey, we're making more money. Let me give you more money just by having you. And so it's not like the accounts they cost or anything like that. They're actually free. There are a lot of fees associated. I'm going to say that. But as far as like to be able to set up the account, it's free. I mean, most accounts to be able to set up are free. Like almost all financial products out there to set up are free to set up, right? It's just a matter of what are some of the fees or the charges that are within the account that you should be watching out for. And with that, not every account out there you're going to just be able to set up. A lot of them you also have to apply for, because they want to make sure that you're someone that they want to give you this high yield for. They want to make sure that you're somebody that they want to give you this free product for. They want to make sure, whatever the case is. And so I love that some banks out there are looking for new customers and are willing to give higher rates to those new customers, to their current customers as well. So it makes you just a little bit more knowledgeable to know, like when you're going out looking for different types of bank accounts, checkings, savings, CDs, money markets, high yield savings accounts, that you yourself will be much more knowledgeable. And so I want to talk about that. Now, two of the biggest banks that I've worked with a lot with people are USAA and Navy Federal Credit Union. And this is just because I work a lot with military service members and military veterans. But there are plenty of banks out there. And these two right here simply are just decent representations, because most banks fall between these two. All right. Now, USAA's savings account, their savings account is not a high yield savings account, but this is where people are saving their money, right? They're saving their money into a 0.01% interest rate account. which is very, very, very little, right? Like that means like on $100, you get 1 penny, right? On $100, you get 1 penny. It's not going to outpace inflation at all, right? Now, in order to even have like USA savings, you got to have a $25 minimum. But the minimum in order to open up their high yield savings account is $10,000. $10,000 minimum to open up a high yield savings account with USAA. Plus, there's overdraft and stop payment fees and things just like that. Now, maybe federal savings, they have a much better high yield. I mean, a much better interest rate, much better one. Does that mean that it's still great? No, not at all. I mean, it's 2,500% better than USAA's, 2,500% better, right? But that's not saying much, all right? And that's also not growing much either, right? There's a lot of different fees for this savings account. So where do you go to look for to look for different types of accounts out there? Well, if you've never heard of a website called bankrate.com, that is a very reputable source. Bankrate.com. You can go and it walks you through high yield savings accounts, CDs, mortgages, different types of investing and savings and banks and all these different things that you can learn a lot about. It has a lot of good resources and tools. So I would highly suggest that. This is not a sponsorship from bankrate.com, but I will happily run a sponsorship from bankrate.com. Bankrate.com. If you just want to hop into the chat and say, hey, we're here for you, Charm. There you go. All right. Bankrate.com. And so what kind of option or what kind of things should you look for when looking for some of those high yield savings accounts? Well, there's 3 main things. And I like to talk about these 3 because they're not necessarily completely split. They all kind of balance each other out. And so the first piece that you should look for, obviously I've been talking about a lot, is fees. Some high yield savings accounts have different fees. Almost all of them, there are some of them that have very little to no fees associated. But there could be different types of fees or charges, or even like minimums. And that's those kind of things you need to look out for, right? If there's a minimum of $5,000 in order to gain the interest, you got to remember that. You have to look at that. Sometimes it might be like a minimum of $10,000 that you have to start the account with. But if your account drops below $5,000, then you're not going to earn those fees. You're not going to earn that interest. So that's something to look out for as well as kind of like a fee. You've also got different charges different fees in case your account drops below a certain amount, right? If your account is below $25, is there a fee associated with it, right? But here's the thing though. Here's the thing I want you to think about. And this is for emergency funds. So you should not be planning on using this account often. You should not be planning on just putting money in and taking money out whenever, for whatever reasons. So the money that you put into it should always grow, if anything, up until you have your 3 to 6 months worth of an emergency fund saved up. Once you do, then you're not putting more money in and you're not taking money out unless it's for an emergency. So you got to think, take that piece into consideration when thinking about those fees, especially if there's any minimums, because there are some really great accounts out there. For instance, one specifically has a $5,000 minimum opening deposit, but if you drop below $500, then you don't earn that interest. Well, is that really a concern if you have $20,000 for your emergency fund? No, because you should not be using that account. If you drop below $500 because of an emergency, okay, well there's that difference. Most emergencies in America can take about $1,200, right? And so you wouldn't be that bad as a whole. But if you needed that income for, let's say, 3 to 4 months, or to pay for expenses because of some situation happening, then that makes sense. And then that would at that point be a concern. But also, you're probably getting what's next is a really great high rate of return if you do have fees associated just like that. And that's where it's going to allow you to grow your money. And this is the second thing that you want to look out for. Rates of returns. Just because there's a lower rate of return does not always mean that that account is inherently like one of the worst ones. There's some bank accounts out there with a high yield savings that offers amazing benefits, but there's some different benefits based on what you want. There are some high yield savings accounts out there that were specifically for truck drivers and the kind of benefits for them. There are some high yield savings accounts out there that incentivize you putting money into your high yield savings account, and they offer you or give you different airline miles, which is awesome. I travel a lot. So if I'm putting money into my savings account, or I'm having money there and it's building and growing and I'm getting also airline miles, that's great. That might not be for some other people. It might be great for me. But it might offer lower rates of return in order to get some of those additional benefits. Or I might get high rates of returns, very little benefits, maybe a lot more fees. So be considerate of that when you're looking into some of these high yield savings accounts. And then the third piece is the accessibility. So I want to be very clear. Accessibility is not synonymous with liquidity. Liquidity is the ability to put money in and take money out whenever you want to without penalty. Bank accounts, savings accounts are all liquid, right? Your savings account that you set up with your checking account is liquid. A high yield savings account is just as liquid. It always has been, and it always will be, hopefully, right? It will always be just as liquid. So I want to make sure that that's very clear, because there's a lot of people out there who don't know, who are just not aware of the fact that a high yield savings account is very similar to a regular savings account with just a higher yield and these three different pieces. Okay, so when me explaining that, is just as liquid as a savings account. You put money in, take money out whenever you want to without penalty. However, high yield savings accounts do offer different varying levels of accessibility. The goal is to put your money there and let it grow. So they don't want you to access it as easily. And that's where also maybe some of your fees might be lower, some of your rates of returns might be higher if you have less accessibility, less access to your money. And so this is also a big factor to look at whenever you're thinking about it, because maybe as you're growing your emergency funds, maybe you do need more accessibility to be able to access some of that money just in case, because maybe you have different things going on in your life right now that might cause a little bit of strife. Or maybe you need to learn some discipline, or maybe you're already very disciplined to where you don't need as much accessibility. And so you can go with some of those accounts out there that offer less accessibility. Well, Charming, what does it look like to have less accessibility or more accessibility? Well, many high yield savings accounts don't have actual branches. So you can't walk into just a building and be like, hey, let me just get some money out of my high yield savings accounts. That's very likely not to happen. Many of the good ones don't have some of those. Many of the top ones don't have those, right? Some of them do. That's less accessibility, right? You're not as able to access your funds physically, like in person, often, which might scare a lot of people. But once again, it's emergency funds. It's not to be used daily, weekly, monthly, or anything like that. It's to be put away elsewhere. All right. Now, another piece that might make it less accessible is the fact that a lot of them don't come with checking accounts, which also means that they don't come with any sort of debit cards, ATM cards. So if you did need some money, you'd have to most likely just transfer it from your high yield savings accounts to your personal checking account and then be able to withdraw that money. Now, let's say that it wants to provide more accessibility. Well, some high yield savings accounts out there actually provide an ATM card for your high yield savings, so you can use that at any ATM, which is awesome. That's great, right? Because now that offers a little bit of accessibility, a little bit more accessibility, so you can get it much easier. So there's different types of ways that you can either have additional accessibility or reduced accessibility. And it just truly depends on your current situation, what your goals are, what your goals for your finances are, and what your goals are for your financial mindset are, your financial development. All right. And so I talk about this in the dance of wealth. Beware of the phase of inflation, lest your treasures slip through time's grasp. All this is all this is just saying is just that while you're trying to grow your money, if you're not paying attention to the little bitty suckle of a vampire that inflation is on all of, because you have to think about all your little money, all your money, not just your money that's growing those big accounts. You got to think about your money that's not growing in huge accounts, right? Or that's not growing hugely, right? You have to think about it all, because that every little piece of inflation that's chipping away at your money is just slowing down that progress, right? And so the reason why I talk about this specifically about high yield savings accounts are because they're more likely, I'm not saying that they will at all, they're more likely to outpace inflation than 0.01%. Much more likely to outpace inflation than 0.1% or 0.01%. All right. So be very cautious of it. So Charlie, what are some accounts that are out there? Well, this is actually a little bit outdated because this is now 4.2 and 4.2. But if someone does not have current savings, these are some great suggestions for them to be able to put their money in. Again, this is something that you should go and do your own research about on bankrate.com. You can find much more benefits. But I want to say, like, for these three accounts, the types of people that they will be for. So for instance, Discover they're now at 4.2%. All right, Discover's high yield savings account is great because it's not specifically a high yield savings account. And so it gets treated a little bit differently than the other high yield savings accounts. It's just a savings account. Now, what Discover does, and this is also another reason why not many merchants take Discover. What they do is they charge the merchant when you swipe your card. They actually charge them a higher fee. And what they do when they charge the merchant when you swipe your card to them a higher fee, they actually return that money back to their customers, which is pretty awesome. They make money every time you spend money, but they make it from the merchant, not from you. Pretty awesome, right? Now, some places they'll charge you, they charge you extra, right? Like if their charge would ultimately be like, 60 cents, they'll charge you an extra $1 just on Discover. Sometimes, not all of them do, but that's what they do. Discover will charge them an additional fee, and then they take those fees and they pay it out in a form of higher yield in their regular savings. So that's really awesome. And so since it's a regular savings, it is attached to a checking account. Discover's checking account gives 1% cash back up to $30 back per month. So if you spend $3,000, you can get $30 free. Like just add it to your account, cash back, which is pretty awesome. They also have very similar cash back credit cards. So those are also pretty awesome. But if you were to do that, you could literally take that money. You could literally take that money and put it into a savings account, into their savings account. I want to show you. Let's say that you had a 16-year-old who you set up a Discover account for from 16 till 65. So that is 54 years. You're putting $30 in a month. Let's say that you have an account for your child, right? And you spend $3,000 a month from that account. That's $30 a month that you're maximizing. So $360 a year. And this is just Money Champ. Awesome money calculator. So principal, that's just the amount of money we have in our account. So let's say that you opened up one of those Discover savings accounts, checking accounts, and you got that cash back of $30 a month, and you put that $30 a month into that high yield savings, into that savings account that is growing at high yield for 54 years until they retire at 4.2% future value. That's $73,000 that they'll have in that account, which is pretty awesome. let's say that you instead put that $30. Let's say you instead put, this money into an account that was going to take that money and stretch it over the course of their lifetime. So that way they don't outlive it. You could even potentially have them fund a small trip every single year for the rest of their life. Right? It wouldn't be a crazy retirement, and that's probably not a lot of money to some people, but that's $73,000 free dollars. Free dollars. Now, taxed, yes, taxed every single year on the growth because it is a taxable account. But there's so many things that you can do with that money right there. So I wanted to be able to share that with you guys. So coming back to some accounts. Now, this is great because it does have no minimums. It also has very, very, very minimal fees as well. So that's a great account to check out. Then you've got like Ally Savings. Ally Savings is a decent one. This one is mostly, I would say, for younger individuals who love online banking, who love banking with apps, because they have very, very nice, consistent mobile experiences and things just like that. It's something that a lot of younger individuals use. It doesn't have like crazy amounts of benefits like Discover's whole like crazy cashback thing, right? But it does offer some really nice, clean, user experiences for mobile users and for individuals who enjoy, being young. There's a lot of people who enjoy being young, I guess. And then you've got like another one for like UFB Direct. UFB Direct, they're at 5.25%. Right now, I do know that earlier I made a huge deal that like the higher rates of returns don't always have the best benefits, don't always have the best accessibility, don't always have the best fees and things like that. But all around, UFB Direct is pretty good. Shockingly enough, it's like it's made what I said about Discover and Ally probably sound like, okay, John, why would you even bring that up? Obviously, I'm going to go with UFB Direct. Well, some people. So UFB Direct has 5.25%. That's not all though. They also have no minimum fees, no monthly fees, none of that stuff. There's no minimums to open up the account or anything like that. Also, they offer amazing accessibility because their account comes with an ATM card, which is really great. Then they also offer a checking account. If you like a checking account, that also gives, if you put a certain amount of money in, I think a couple of thousand or maybe $10 or so, they'll give you additional APY on top of this of about 0.2%, I believe, up to 0.2%. So, I mean, all around, minimal fees, high rate of return, amazing accessibility. Those are three things to look out for, right? That's a great all-around bank. And I'll say right now, that is not often that I say that there's something that's kind of perfect or great all around. There's always normally a trade-off. But their trade-off is they do have an application process for sure. And it's about a 20-minute application process. So with that being said, you go through that very minor inconvenience in order to, have that account set up for you. And now your account can be growing much faster, right? Once again, emergency funds. Other than emergency funds and having that 3 to 6 months of emergency funds saved up into high yield savings accounts, the rest of your money should be elsewhere. Does not need to be here. Does not need to be growing in CDs, mutual funds, high yield savings accounts, and other types of accounts, variable accounts. If you want to get with stock markets and you enjoy the risk, then some money should be going there if you'd like to, right? And then otherwise, you've also got the ability for your money to be invested into real estate. You got the ability for your money to be leveraged by insurance, so you take away risk. So many different options, but high yield savings accounts, emergency funds, great for high yield savings accounts. Now, let's say that you do want to see other accounts. There's another account, Brio Direct, which is once again another great account. But they also have the highest yield, and theirs has dropped down. Once again, theirs has dropped down to 5.3% right now. So like I also need to update this, but I didn't update it right before. So 5.3%. And with this being said, they do require a minimum of $5,000 to open an account. But you need to maintain, this is that bank I was telling you about, you need to maintain at least $500 in order to earn the interest though. And so this account is great if you already have over $5,000 to deposit, I recommend like maybe $10,000 at least minimum to deposit, right? I just wouldn't prefer to have, just right at that line either. But once again, it just depends on you. It has very little access to money though. So if you're looking for something with a lot of accessibility, this has very minimal accessibility. There's also I believe you get 3 free transfers from Brio Direct to your outside institution as well. After that, it's either charged or you can't do it. It almost always outpaces inflation as well, much more. Some of the other high yield savings that I showed you typically might not, and it's crazy because if inflation has been averaging about 3.2%, but those accounts are growing at like 4.2, 5.25, it should outpace it, right? But that's not necessarily how inflation works, too. So you've also got to think about that. Also, the approval process is actually relatively simple. It's a little bit simpler than UFB Direct's like approval process. I think this takes about 10 minutes, maybe max. But you also find out their approval rating right then and there. So that is pretty awesome. But with that being said, I hope that you've learned a good bit about where to place your money. Like I said before, UFB Direct is an amazing bank to have your money, or excuse me, MoneyChamp is an amazing website to go to. Bankrate.com is an amazing bank to go to, or amazing website to go to learn about different types of financial products and tools out there. Bankrate.com, high yield savings. You can see all the information I just shared with you right here. Best high yield savings accounts for June. This is just going over some of them right here with some of their different benefits. Amex savings, Gene ES savings. It goes to product details as well. You can look at all different types of things. There are some people out there who are those benefit hoppers, right? Where they specifically like to start with this account, then benefit from this account, things like that. Top rates. Then you go down to the ones with the top rates. You got like Brio Direct down here, and you've got Tab Bank, which is the one for truck drivers. And I mean, you can literally look this stuff up if you like to yourself. And it's great because what to look for, why we choose it, and what's the rate history. So great stuff to be able to check out some of these accounts. They also go over many, many, many other types of accounts, other banking, mortgage things, investing. I mean, so much different stuff, right? So check out bankrate.com. It is very reputable. But with that being said, if you do have any questions, remember that all of this information on these websites, all the information that these financial institutions will tell you in person, will tell you to do and take care of, they should all be held with a grain of salt because it's about your specific goals and where you are currently. And so it's very important for you to meet with someone who is experienced in customized plans with all around different products and tools, not just the ones in their best line of work, right? And if you do that, you get much more knowledge and strategies built up for you outside of just their one level expertise, because they can look at all these different options and present you the best options for you. All right. And so with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed teaching today about high yield savings accounts because they're very important. And with that being said, make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. If you learned anything at all, please comment down below. What was the biggest thing that you learned today about these high yield savings accounts and what to do with your emergency funds? And also give this video a subscribe. It pushes the video out, or give the channel a subscribe. It pushes the channel out, push the video out as well, so that other people can learn this information. And I definitely would appreciate that support and that feedback as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, howdy, friend. Come on over to YouTube one of these days. With that being said, you guys have a beautiful day. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning, where we are going to be going over. Actually, what are we going over? Oh, how to lead without micromanaging and without overworking. With that being said, guys, have a beautiful day, and I shall see you guys tomorrow. Take good care.
I want you at 85 and climbing. If you're at 80, I want you at 90, and I mean moving rapidly. It's not rocket science. And the universe is not responding to you correctly because your body language sucks. Your spirit sucks. It's defeated. Now, I need you to give me that 120. I need you to give me that everything you do. I need you to start giving me that 120 in everything you do. Bring it all together. Bring all the energy, all the passion, bring it all together and dominate.